The Second Reich, the German Empire that shaped the modern world. But before we dive into this colossal power, we need to take a step back. In our previous video, we explored the First Reich, the Holy Roman Empire, born with Charlemagne and stretching all the way to its decline under Francis II of Habsburg. We uncovered its myths, its fragmented politics, and its eternal struggle between emperor and pope. Now, we move forward in time, across centuries of division, wars, and revolutions, to witness the rebirth of the German idea of empire. An empire not medieval, but modern, forged not by feudal lords and papal decrees, but by iron, blood, and the relentless will of one man, Otto von Bismarck. When we talk about the Second Reich, or the German Empire, we are speaking of a power that emerged officially in 1871. After the Franco-Prussian War, when King Wilhelm I of Prussia was proclaimed Kaiser in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles. The historian Gordon Craig in his Germany, 1866 to 1945, described this moment as the triumph of national feeling over centuries of division, a spectacle so dazzling that it blinded contemporaries to the dangers hidden in its foundations. This Reich was not just a continuation of the first. It was a new creation, a synthesis of Prussian militarism, industrial revolution, and nationalist fervor. And like all empires, it was destined for both glory and collapse. The path to the Second Reich was paved with wars that reshaped the map of Europe. The Danish War of 1864, the Austro-Prussian War of 1866, and the Franco-Prussian War of 1870-71 were not random conflicts. They were calculated moves in Bismarck's grand strategy. Historian Christopher Clark, in Iron Kingdom, The Rise and Downfall of Prussia, 1600 to 1947, calls Bismarck the greatest practitioner of realpolitik the modern world has ever known. His diplomacy was ruthless, his vision clear, to unify the German states under Prussian leadership while excluding Austria. This was the birth of a power that would dominate continental Europe until the guns of August 1914 roared. But what made the Second Reich so formidable? It was not only military strength, though the Prussian army was among the most disciplined in the world. It was also industrial might. By 1913, Germany had surpassed Britain in steel production and was second only to the United States in manufacturing output. Historian A. J. P. Taylor once wrote that Germany was an industrial volcano, spewing out steel, coal, chemicals, and machinery in a torrent that transformed the balance of power. The railways expanded, cities grew, and a new German middle class rose alongside the old aristocracy of Junkers. Yet, under this prosperity, tensions simmered between liberals and conservatives, workers and industrialists, Catholics and Protestants, Prussia and the rest of Germany. And at the heart of it stood Wilhelm II, the Kaiser who inherited Bismarck's empire but lacked his iron will. Wilhelm's impulsive policies, naval arms race with Britain, and colonial ambitions strained alliances and pushed Europe toward catastrophe. As historian John Rhee A.L. argues in Kaiser Wilhelm II, A Concise Life, Wilhelm was a man of immense ambition, but limited self-mastery, whose erratic decisions destabilized not only Germany, but the entire continent. Before we go further, if you're fascinated by how empires rise and fall, make sure to subscribe to Vertex of Time. This channel is built for those who want to understand the deeper currents of history, not just the events, but the forces, the ambitions, and the human struggles behind them. And don't forget to share this video with a friend who loves history as much as you do. Your support helps us bring more forgotten stories and hidden truths to life. The Reich itself was a paradox. It was both modern and archaic, democratic in appearance, yet autocratic in practice. The Reichstag, its parliament, was elected by universal male suffrage, but real power remained with the Kaiser and his chancellor. Historian James Sheehan in German History, 1770 to 1866, described this structure as a constitutional facade masking the persistence of authoritarian rule. Germany became a powerhouse of science, art, and philosophy, producing figures like Max Planck, Albert Einstein, and Thomas Mann, yet at the same time it carried the heavy shadow of militarism, nationalism, and authoritarian tradition. As we move toward the First World War, the Second Reich reveals its dual nature, brilliant in progress, but reckless in diplomacy. The Schlieffen Plan, the naval arms race with Britain, the alliance with Austria-Hungary all were moves on a chessboard that would soon collapse into the bloodiest war the world had ever seen. In the words of historian Fritz Fischer, whose controversial book, Germany's Aims in the First World War, shook the academic world, Germany was a nation intoxicated by its own power, willing to gamble the future of Europe. To secure its place in the sun, the Reich collapsed in 1918. Not on the battlefield alone, but at home, where hunger, revolution, and disillusion shattered the imperial dream. Wilhelm II fled into exile, and the German Empire was replaced by the Weimar Republic. The Second Reich, which had promised strength and unity, left behind bitterness, humiliation, and a burning desire for revenge, a legacy that would shape the darkest chapter of the 20th century. And yet, the Second Reich cannot be understood merely as a prelude to the Third. It was an empire of contradictions, a beacon of progress and a warning of excess, a nation that united millions yet sowed division across continents. The historian Michael Street Romer once wrote, "To understand Germany is to understand the double-edged sword of modernity, a state both creator and destroyer, innovator and aggressor. The story of the Second Reich is not just a German story. It is a human story of ambition and arrogance, brilliance and blindness. It reminds us that no empire, however mighty, stands forever." As the echoes of cannon fire faded in 1918, Europe awoke to a new reality. The old world was gone, swept away by the very empire that sought to dominate it. And so, the Second Reich stands as both monument and warning, proof that power without balance and ambition without restraint can shake civilizations to their core. Now I turn it over to you. What historical subjects should we explore next? Leave your suggestions in the comments, because history is not just about what happened, it's about what we choose to remember.